Episode 6 of Gen V's second season finally introduced a character that was being built up since the first episode of the series, and that's Marie's sister Annabeth. She's the person that started Marie's journey to Godolkin in the first place, because she figured she'd be able to track her easier with a Supe certification. Well, Annabeth's here now, and what's more, she has superpowers too. In fact, she might have the most broken ability in this entire universe, and a big reason for that could be her anatomy. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at that, and her powers, and why this girl who was only recently introduced to the franchise could be the key to defeating Homelander. So without further ado, this is Annabeth Moreau's Anatomy Explained. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. She was conceived as a Supe. Why Annabeth has powers in the first place. One of the biggest questions surrounding Annabeth is how in the world is she a Supe? How does she have powers in the first place? Because technically speaking, she shouldn't. Marie was conceived through a secret Godolkin University research project whose aim was to create god-tier Supes. The process involved in vitro fertilization, and fetuses were inundated with compound V at the blastocyst stage. Marie herself was conceived through this method because her mom couldn't have children, but Annabeth was never injected with V as an infant, which would be the general method of giving her powers. So how does she have them? Well, the answer actually came from Aunt Pam when Marie went to visit her, and we don't blame you for missing it if you did, because it was cleverly hidden in the middle of other important dialogue. When Marie is talking to Pam about her birth circumstances, she's actively fishing for information, because at that point, she knew she was Odessa. The revelation that Cypher was at her birth was shocking enough, but what's even more shocking is what Pam says about her sister's birth. She explained to Marie that her mom couldn't have kids, so she agreed to become a participant in Godolkin's program, which gave her IVF treatments for free. But then Marie's mom was somehow able to conceive Annabeth without any such treatments, which implies that her fertility was somehow restored. In vitro fertilization was a revolutionary medical breakthrough for couples who couldn't conceive, but it didn't solve the problem of infertility itself. How it basically works is that it turns an infertile womb into a viable incubator for a fertilized human embryo. Once the embryo matures and is born, the womb that incubated it goes back to being infertile, and to have another child, a mother would need to go on extensive IVF treatments once again. But that's not what happened in Annabeth's case. She was conceived and born naturally, which can only be possible if her mother was fertile in the traditional sense of the word. But we know that she wasn't, otherwise she wouldn't have needed to go through God U to have Marie. So what happened? Well, this is just a theory of ours, but we'd say that somehow Marie's powers fixed her mom's fertility problem, or put compound V in her womb. It seems to be a combination of both of those things, because the show makes it a point to specify that Odessa test subjects were injected with V at the blastocyst stage. That's the stage where the baby is nothing more than a handful of cells. It's completely possible that housing Marie for several months in her own body caused her mom's genetic makeup to change just a little bit, and made conceiving Annabeth possible. It's also interesting to think that only the two survivors of the Odessa project have been shown to be capable of reproducing in somewhat of a natural way. Generally speaking, once you become a Supe, you can't have kids anymore, because the V makes you some sort of impotent. But Homelander was able to have Ryan, and it was only after Marie entered and exited her mother's womb that Annabeth's conception became possible. So you could also chalk it up to Project Odessa's side effects. Or, if you really wanted to stretch things, you could say that Marie, at the blastocyst stage, was somehow able to use her powers, or that she unconsciously used them constantly during her mother's pregnancy, which could also explain why Annabeth is a natural-born Supe. Mothers share their bodily nutrients and waste with their children, so it's possible that through the exchange, Marie somehow fixed her mom, and her compound V-infused bodily waste turned her mom's womb radioactive. Whichever explanation you want to back, the end result remains the same, which is the complete and unexpected reversal of her mom's infertility, which we think explains why Annabeth is a Supe. This adds another layer of tragedy to her character, because after being reunited with her sister, she basically says that she was going to ask her parents about it before Marie accidentally killed them. Marie was 12 when her powers manifested, and Annabeth was even younger, yet the fact that her mother's powers seemingly kicked in before Marie's makes her potential that much more interesting, especially because of the type of ability she possesses. She can see the future, how she can be the key to defeating Homelander. Annabeth might have all the requisite powers that one needs to be classified a Supe. You know, super strength, super hearing, all that good stuff. That doesn't make her skin as hard as diamonds apparently, because Cypher slit her throat like a little normie human. But we'll chalk that up to development issues for now. What we're really interested in for the purpose of this video is Annabeth's ability to see the future, because it might just be the most broken ability in this entire franchise. We've only got a taste of it so far, but what we've seen is so promising that it basically changed the landscape of the boys' verse for us. When Marie resurrects her, Annabeth immediately picks up on the problem around her and starts navigating the crew out of Elmira. Marie and her friends have been imprisoned there before, and even they were unsure about the blueprints of the facility, but Annabeth was somehow able to take them to the nearest possible shortcut through walls and secret passageways. When they reached the dead end, Annabeth stopped Marie from running in the other direction because she knew that Sam was about to burst through the dead at any given moment, and she seemed to know that he was friendly with the gang. Annabeth had some real Lisan al-Gaib vibes going on before Kate flat out recognized her as a precog, and that's one power we didn't see the showrunners introducing to this franchise. Precog is short for precognition, and what that basically means is having the ability to cognitively see and process things before they even happen. It's a version of prophetic oracular future sight, and it seems to activate with Annabeth's personal fight-or-flight response. After being brought back to life thanks to her sister's cellular control powers, she realized she needed to escape, so her mind showed her exactly what she needed to see in order to facilitate said escape. If Annabeth had panicked, or had not been dead set on leaving Elmira, she might not have been able to lead her sister and her friends out of there, because she admits that she can't freely control her visions. They just sort of come and go, and that would explain why she took her time telling her parents about them. For a child, perception is a construct they're always working on, so it's possible she initially thought that she was daydreaming. But when those dreams started coming true, Annabeth realized she had superpowers as well, and she hid them as hard as she could because she didn't want to become a monster like her sister. Not even Pam, who took her in, is aware of her powers, so we'd say that she did an immaculate job of pretending to be a human. But getting back to how Annabeth's abilities work, it seems the trigger is extreme duress, or anytime she feels strong emotions. In the former scenario, it makes sense why she'd be able to see the future, because that's a defense mechanism. If she wants to escape from a situation, she'd be able to see the best possible path out of there, because she'd presumably be seeing thousands of alternate realities at the same time. Or if that number is limited, then she's definitely seeing a quote-unquote right future. But she explicitly rejects calling this the power to see the future, presumably because the duration of her visions are extremely short, and definitely because she can't see things too far off in the timeline. The only time we've seen Annabeth use her powers is to get people out of a facility that would require a set amount of time to escape from. Elmira's facility might be huge, but it is finite, and at best it would take someone a few hours to explore all of it. Even if Annabeth had to comb through every corner of that place within seconds to find the right pathway, if she honed in on her emotions and focused on escaping, which she did, then she'd be able to bypass all the flaws that come with a power like future sight. And with enough training or exposure to life or death situations, it's even possible that she'll be able to see things that are far off into the distance, like say a decade down the road. If that becomes possible, then Annabeth goes from being a potentially strong Supe to a broken one, because she'd be able to predict everything at all times. And we know we say this often on this channel, but that also means that she'll be able to go through every possible scenario involving Homelander, and be able to guide her allies through the best path forward. Future sight is only introduced as a plot device when stories want to set up an event that they want to prevent, or when they back themselves up into a corner with an uber-strong character and need a quick and easy way out. We think Annabeth's inclusion and specific power could be an amalgamation of both of those factors, because we have a pet theory that Gen 5 Season 2 will end with a flash forward, when the whole Cypher storyline is wrapped up, and Marie finally locates Starlight's secret base to join her. The camera will cut to Annabeth having a vision that knocks her out, and in that vision, we think we'll see what will happen if Homelander wins. Then all of Season 5 of The Boys will be focused on ensuring that doesn't happen, which is a good way to connect the two series if you ask us. I mean, Gen 5's crossover work has always been good, but its storyline hasn't impacted The Boys in the earth-shattering way that we were led to believe it would. Many of its story beats have had understated or underwhelming revisits in the main series, and to really shake things up and end Gen V with a blast, something like The Boys' version of a nightmare sequence would be perfect. Those glimpses of an alternate reality are what made Zack Snyder's Justice League franchise feel like it was larger than life, because they basically showed Henry Cavill's Superman going the Homelander route, while Batfleck subs in for Billy Butcher. The big difference here is Homelander doesn't need a dark side to corrupt his soul, but that's about it. But the real use of Annabeth's precog powers will be demonstrated when she also glimpses what will help the good guys prevent Earth from becoming Homeland, and that's the vision we're waiting to see. Everyone has known that since that internal meltdown Homelander went through when he crashed Newman's rally, that he's going to have a mass murder moment long before the series comes to an end. And with Cypher claiming that 75% of God U students will be culled before Homie's takeover begins, we're really starting to believe that culling game will begin in the last 2 episodes of Gen V. In a world as chaotic and unpredictable as the one Homie and his allies are trying to create, Annabeth could be the world's only source of true hope and stability. And that's the real reason she's a unique Supe to us, not the fact that her mom signing up for an experiment accidentally resulted in her conception. Marvelous verdict. But as for this video, we're sorry for not being able to give you guys much else to go on, because that's literally all we've got on Annabeth Moreau. Let us know your thoughts on her powers in the comments below, and like, share, and subscribe for more Gen V videos just like this one being injected straight into your YouTube feeds. We'll update you guys on her powers as the franchise progresses, so until that day comes, stay safe, and we'll see you again real soon. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!